here we are. We're going to jump right into it.
Mm-hmm.
What is the song that you're dancing to or choreographing to right now?
Oh, right now I am choreographing to a song called 10K by an artist by the name of KB.
10K KB.
10K KB.
Okay.
Yes.
What is your go-to dance outfit?
So if I'm taking class or what do you mean dance outfit?
Let's do when you're teaching.
Teaching. Okay.
Head to toe, hat to
Yeah,
shoes.
definitely a hat. I'm a big hat guy.
A bucket?
Bucket or ball cap. Either works. Not
Is
really
a ball cap like a dad hat?
Nah, like a snapback.
Okay.
Fitted.
Snapbacks
Yeah.
and tattoos.
And bucket. Not really a beanie guy. I mean, I do wear beanies not for dance though, because I sweat a lot. So it's not really hot when you're just like too sweaty.
And I feel like
You know what I
hats
mean?
are meant to add a little bit more like shape and like motion, but a beanie is just like restricts your head. So it like you can't do hairography.
I
with a
can't do
beanie.
hairography.
Yeah, your hair is
It's
not gonna,
very restrictive.
Yeah, it won't be giving.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a big hat guy. A nice big baggy tee. I'm pretty simple. I'm like baggy tee and sweats, track pants. And then obviously, the shoes are important.
Yes.
My favorite type of shoe to dance in is a flat-footed shoe. So my go-tos are like Adidas Superstars, Nike. I know, right? Where's the camera? Nike SB Dunks. Anything that kind of makes me feel closer. There you go. See, exactly. Boom. Love dancing in dunks. Anything that keeps me grounded to the floor. Not a big fan of like the too cushiony. I think because it all depends on style of dance too, and my style tend to be more ISO and balanced. Like I'm not too like I feel like if you're kind of like a house style or footwork style, like runners and things like that might be a little bit better. But for me and my style is more grounded, flat-footed shoes.
Did you ever dance in Vans?
I did. Yeah, I'm a fan of Vans too, like half cabs. Like skater shoes are really good to dance in.
Yeah.
Because one, they're just like really good with just gripping your entire foot, and then they tend to be flat-footed shoes. So, yeah, Vans half cabs are dope.
Nice. Really good recs. What is your go-to dance move?
Go-to dance move? Man, it's hard.
Everyone's like, oh, that is so Ben.
I don't know. I actually wonder what people think. What is so Ben? I mean, it's hard.
We could poll the audience. Leave in the comments what you think Ben's signature move is.
You know what we did? So when we would kind of session my crew. So I'm a part of a crew called Kinjaz. Shout out Kinjaz.
Yeah.
When we'll session, we'll kind of do challenges where it's like, okay, we'll do a round with like, know this, you can't do blank, and so one of the rounds was like, okay, no glides. And I'm like, yeah, easy. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. I can't not glide. And so, I guess not gliding is difficult because you don't really think of gliding. And I'm not saying like you have to do a full continuous 8 count of a glide, but even a like half of a glide is considered a glide. So
it's like when it was taken away from you, you realize I actually glide a lot.
I do glide a lot.
I'm a gladiator.
I'm a gladiator.
Angelique?
I'm an American
I
gladiator.
didn't get him yet.
I like the puns. I like the work with the E. Okay, I get it. I see your superpower.
Thank you. So that's footwork part. Do you feel like you kind of rely on
or
default to something up here?
I like waves. I like tracing. Like this is like it's a default,
Yeah.
All this is default. And everybody has their like reset buttons. And so I think tracing waves are kind of my default. Yeah.
How did you get started dancing? I actually don't know this. So
really?
I'm curious. Yeah.
I started dancing in high school. First introduced to it in middle school when I hung out with all the B-boys in my middle school. And I just thought they were cool. They're like, wow, these guys, all the girls like these breakdancing guys. I want to hang out with those guys.
Yeah.
But I was a bit of a chubby guy. And so it was hard
You
for
were?
me. I was.
I can't even imagine that.
I was chubs, yeah. And it was hard for me to move around on the ground. So I was like, this is too hard. And then I came across Mr. Wiggles popping videos. I'm like, wait a second. That looks like something that I might be able to do. And I just became obsessed with popping. And so, watching videos, trying to mimic. And then I was introduced to K-pop, of all things, that actually really got me hype about actually trying to learn choreography. Because I think prior to that, it was, kind of messing around in the mirror, trying to do waves and things like that. But then K-pop was me actually trying to learn the actual choreography to these songs.
What were some of the artists that you were listening to?
So I'm going to date myself here. So this is the 90s. I got into K-pop in the mid 90s. So there was a group called Lula, which was the first concert that I ever been to. My sister took me to this concert when I was in 8th grade. And I like low key loved it. And when I say low key was because I didn't want to be very excited and overtly like, I love this, because I was, for whatever reason, I felt like embarrassed. I don't know, like it just wasn't cool yet. And so I was just like, oh yeah, this is cool, and then like I went home, and then like I asked my mom to go to the Korean video store to get me those, they had these video VHS tapes called like Kayo Top 10. And so I would like, because I knew that these, performances were on these videos. So I would ask my mom to like rent me those videos, and she would rent me like a bunch, and I would just watch them, and I would just try to learn the choreography. And that's where I found like HOT. HOT was probably the big one that made me like, yes, I am going to do this and learn all these pieces. And then I actually found out that one of the kids at my church at the time was doing the same exact thing that I was. So both of us as closeted K-pop dancers were like, hey, should we like practice together?
Yeah, let's share.
So we would literally that. It was like over the weekends, we would go to each other's places, sleepovers, stay up till like 3, 4 in the morning, using our living room glass sliding door as our mirror, teaching each other K-pop routines. And primarily it was HOT. And then we found like Shinhwa and then Jack's Kiss and stuff like that. So these are, K-pop was my introduction to dance. And then the whole community stuff came way later.
Yeah.
But the origins of it was very heavily K-pop.
That's amazing. I'm going to date myself too. I grew up listening to HOT.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the movie Turning Red?
That's the Disney movie. I haven't seen it. I should have seen it. I have no excuse. It's like an Asian one.
Yeah, it's so good. You have to watch it.
I know. I do need to watch it.
But one of the things that happened is that these girls are crazy about this band. They're called Four Town.
Four Town.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, at least one person knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
HOT was my Four Town.
Oh, dude, I did the song Candy, which is they're all wearing like their bright like primary colors, the red, yellow, blue, green, orange. And my friends and I, we literally wore those outfits and we performed at our church talent show. We won first place.
Yeah, first place,
and
baby.
Church talent show, and we're like, dude, we're pretty good. We should like take this to the big stage. So then we would do these like Korean festivals and like legit, that was like how we started getting more and more into it.
That's amazing.
But
Did you guys grow your crew?
Candy. Yeah, so we were, it was a 3-man crew called Unique. And
I thought it was going to be WARM.
I see where you're going. But it needs to stand for something. What would WARMs? We are really Moshi-sung.
Really Moshi-sung. Wait, that's actually such a good name.
Right? We are really Moshi-sung.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I love that.
I'm gonna put a pin in that
Yeah,
one.
right.
Pocket that one. Yeah.
So you guys were 3 people at first.
Yeah, and then we expanded. So now we started performing in these like Korean culture nights. So UCLA Korean Culture Night was like our first sort of bigger church talent show performance. And then we expanded our crew and we called ourselves Breakdown. And it was like a 6-man crew. And then we did Breakdown for a bit, and we did like Collaboration, which is a big show, like Asian American talent show that was here in LA. And then we ended up winning Collaboration that year too. And so, yeah, from Unique to Breakdown, that was kind of the extent of our K-pop little cover group, I guess is what we were.
Which color were you?
Well, so when we did Breakdown, this is when we're like, okay, we got to get away from all the like the cutesy like HOT color stuff. So we did like, army fatigues. We did like jumpsuits, because we wanted to be kind of harder, you know what I'm saying? So,
a cool Mario.
Yeah, we wanted to be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was something you struggled with the most?
You know what? I don't know what it's called, where like I have a hard time differentiating left from right. I know that sounds funny. But like when I'm watching like, you know, when I'm watching a video, you know, when I'm watching the screen, when someone's arm goes this way, I'm like, okay, my arm's gonna also go that way, but that's actually their right arm.
Oh,
So
the wrong arm.
I would
The-
learn from mirroring what I'm
Uh-huh.
learning. So, but that was just how my brain naturally works. So it wasn't like automatic where I'm like, oh, that's his right arm, so I should actually go the other way.
Yeah.
So anytime learning off of video, I would learn it off of the mirrored version, aka I'm going the wrong way, wrong arm all the time. So that was one of the things that I struggled with the most in the beginning. And I'm also like still to this day not the best at like turning.
Really?
Like a double turn is my worst nightmare. Like I might hit it and I probably won't.
You can do a 1.5 and fake the last
And
half?
then, you know, it's like the stylistic recovery.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not a good turner. To this day, it's still tough. It's better.
Not a good Tina Turner.
Not a good Tina Turner. Absolutely not.
Balance is hard. I'm actually really bad at turning too.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like, aren't girls like, isn't that like, am I just being sexist now and just assuming like girls just got it like that?
What kind of girl are you? Can't even turn?
I thought like that's just like girls are just good at that.
I mean, girls are good at everything.
Okay.
But not me and not at turning.
Okay, well, we can relate then, so we're good.
Okay, I have a confession.
Okay.
Whenever I learn dances, like off of TikTok or a video, I don't actually care what direction it is. Like whatever it is, I'll learn it that way.
Yeah.
Because I'll record a video and then I can flip it. I can flip myself.
There you go. Technology. Again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever's the most convenient for me to learn, because I feel like I'm a right-handed, right-bodied dancer.
Same.
Like this, like you're more comfortable doing like right side movements.
Yeah. So I have to consciously switch. Like, cause I'm like, I am gonna always default to everything right side. So I have to consciously, hey, I'll, you know, show some love to the left side. Yeah. So I have to consciously switch.
Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous? Come on, dude. Where are the cameras at? Come on. It's too good.
So tell me about your dance journey post K-pop era.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was introduced to our like entire dance community, which I'll just call it the dance community. Growing up here in LA, there was a big dance community that was very much birthed out of Southern California. And it started within the collegiate circuit. And so there were these teams that were based out of these schools, these colleges. So Kaba Modern was a huge one. I mean, they've been around for over 30 years. Shout out Arnel Calvario, who is the founder of Kaba Modern. And then, you know, from there's like Culture Shock, you know, from LA to San Diego. And so, you know, once I was exposed to this other world where it was outside of these sort of niche Korean American talent shows, but they were kind of larger scale competitions where there were these crews that were like kind of on a massive scale. Because, you know, here we are like 6 guys, but these teams are like 30 deep and crazy formations and all this. And I was like, yo, like, what is this world? So I got really intrigued by the world and just trying to learn, like, who are these teams? And then how can I be a part of this world? And so I started to learn about the different collegiate teams. So I went from ACA Hip Hop, which is based out of UCLA. That was one of my earlier teams that I joined. And then from there, I went to Kaba Modern because I went to UC Irvine. Shout out Anteaters. Let's go, Zot Zot. So I was on Kaba Modern for a little over a year, which was my last year there as a student. So I was there with them an entire season. And then I graduated. And after I graduated, moved back to LA. And that's where I was very curious about the commercial dance industry. And that's when I started to learn about like how it all worked with the agencies and auditions and all of that. And again, this is all pre-social media. So still very like, this is the analog way to do things. I literally had to print out a hard copy of a resume. I had to burn a reel onto a DVD.
Oh, what?
And like send this, like drop the, like literally go into the studios. Here's my reel. Here's my resume.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, yeah, getting like walked into an agency and getting signed to an agent. So all of that was new to me also. And that was, I would say, right around 2006 time.
That's when YouTube came out.
That's when YouTube came out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2005.
So again, I was like, I don't know what this YouTube thing is. And so it was still so brand new that no one really knew how to use that as a tool. So I did kind of things the old school way. So, but yeah, having moved to LA, there's a team called Funkonometry LA, which is kind of the bridge between like the collegiate scene into the commercial dance industry. A lot of people from Funkonometry were previously on teams like Kaba Modern and TM and things like that. So Funkonometry, and then I got down with a group called Super Galactic Beat Manipulators. Shout out KB Kevin Brewer of Jabbawockeez. He started that crew, and he asked me to join that crew. And from there, that was how I kind of transitioned into Jabbawockeez after like hanging out with all those guys, and then Jabbawockeez and now into Kinjaz.
Jabbawockeez and Kinjaz are now recognized as global brands and businesses, but when you first started with them, it was in the earlier stages. So what was it like kind of watching this grow from what it was to what it is now?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started, well, I wasn't a part of Jabbawockeez at its origin. So they started in 2003. I joined in 2007. And but even when I joined, it was a dance crew. You know, it wasn't a dance company. There was no audition process to be a part of the crew, and you know,
Was it just invite?
it was invite.
Mhm.
But like, you know, it was also, I mean, like, I think there's a big difference between dance company and dance crew, and every crew has their own different culture of how they do things,
Rituals,
and
yeah.
yeah, and how the crew even formed to how they even bring on new members. And
We're mini cults, honestly.
kind of mini cults. We're like peaceful cults.
Peaceful
You
cults,
know,
yeah.
we love peace and dance is what
Mhm.
we do. But yeah, so when Jabbawockeez started, they were just a crew, and then you know, when I started hanging out with them, we became like pretty like tight friends over the years of like 2005 and 6, and then they asked me to join in 07. And you know, they battled me into the crew, and then it was like, cool, I'm a part of. I mean, at that time I was like, yo, Jabbawockeez like the sickest crew in the world, and to me that was my dance dream. It was just like, I just want to be on this crew.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when all these TV shows, like these dance competition shows started coming out, America's Got Talent was the first show that we were on. And then we didn't do very well there. And then America's Best Dance Crew, which was on MTV in 2008, that was the show that we ended up winning. But even that show was the first season, so there was nothing to compare it to. It wasn't like there was this, yo, that's the show to be on to blow up. You know what I'm saying? There was no roadmap to that. So I mean,
Also, how funny is it that you said you didn't do well at America's Got Talent, and then you guys won America's Best Dance Crew? So it's like they got talent.
You know what's
like they were
funny?
wrong, you know?
So the funny thing, so we got on America's Got Talent. We got to like the second round, which was the Las Vegas round, which was the round that we lost. And then we're like, okay, we're off this show. Next year we go to America's Best Dance Crew. We win that show. And then later that, I think it was maybe a year later, America's Got Talent calls us and they're like, hey,
look
Jabbawockeez,
who comes
we'd
crawling
love for you to
back.
perform on America's
Oh,
Got
you
Talent.
would?
And so we're like, huh, that's funny. Didn't you guys kick us off your show? So that the irony there is pretty, it's amazing. But you know, everything for a reason, everything in its timing. Yeah, so we did ABDC and then we won. And so I think what I'm trying to say is that there was no prep work in terms of, we know that this is the way to achieve X, Y, or Z. There was none of that because there was no foundation laid
There's no
down.
precedence. No one
Exactly,
else has
no
done this.
precedence. And we were just doing what we knew we loved to do, but we knew that that was going to lead to something. We didn't know what it was. Shout out Gary Kendall, G1. He was our eldest member who ended up passing away right before ABDC. And he was one of the reasons why we even did ABDC, was because he was like, yo, we need to get on TV and we need the world to know who we are. That's the only way that we're gonna like change the world.
Yeah.
And you know, he was already talking about like Cirque du Soleil. We're gonna have a Cirque du Soleil show someday, you guys. And we're just like, whoa, what are you talking about, G? Like, how is that even possible? We're just like a dance crew. And you know, he always thought on that scale. And so after, you know, we did ABDC, then we're like, yo, like, all right, let's see if like a Las Vegas show is even something that we can potentially even go for. And then we just kept doing our thing and kept sticking to the original formula, which is just what Jabbawockeez was from day one. And then we had the right opportunity to have an entrance into Vegas. And even at that, I don't think people know this, that you don't just get there isn't auditions for Vegas shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They don't just hold open audition. If you want to
you
show
don't
in Las
submit your
Vegas,
resume on
yeah, to
Indeed.com.
lasvegas.com
No,
for a
yeah.
Las Vegas show. So the way that these things work are just really, you just never know. And the way that we had our opportunity was we had an opportunity to perform at a Sweet 16 birthday party for the VP of Entertainment of MGM Properties. His daughter, who was turning 16, her wish was to have Jabbawockeez perform. And so, through the ways of networking and things like that, that came through our pipeline. And we were like, hey guys, we have an opportunity to perform. Maybe this could lead to something in Vegas. And that was what it was. And so we did this. We put together like a 25 minute show for this Sweet 16. We kind of knocked it out the park, and then they gave us a trial to be like, hey, let's see if you guys can hold it down at a theater for, a small run. So we did a few small runs, and we sold out,
Mm-hmm.
Every night. And then that's when they took a chance on us. We're like, hey, let's give them like a short, 1 month residency, 3 month residency, 6 months, year. So that was kind of how it all turned out. And so, yeah, I mean, you can call it luck. You can call it right place, right time. I think it's a combination of all that, but luck does not work if you aren't prepared and if you don't have the raw materials for that opportunity to show itself, to be like, oh, you were ready for this. Like, you have what it takes to do this. And so I think, in hindsight, all that training that we had done to dial in
Mm-hmm.
who we were as a crew, and, obviously all the individuals that have been working on their individual crafts in dance, to come together now to build years of chemistry and magic together as a unit. And that was what it, took for us to get that opportunity to be like, boom, now the stage is yours to take. So that was kind of how the Jabbawockeez thing started. And, that was, 2008, which is forever ago. And
That's such an incredible story, mostly because, like you said, there was no precedence.
mhm.
So you guys were really doing things because, one, you loved it, but also you had this conviction of, I don't know exactly what, but this is the right way to go, especially with Gary and his vision. So it does feel, I can relate to that a lot, because entrepreneurship is a lot like that. And
Yeah.
you believe in something so much and you're trying to go in certain directions, but you never know which door is going to open. You don't know what that door is going to lead to necessarily, or if it is going anywhere at all. And so a lot of times it is scary. Tell me about the Kinjaz journey.
Yeah, so Kinjaz was established in 2010 by Mike Song and Anthony Lee. That's when they founded the crew. And Kinjaz is actually, interestingly, like a sort of parallel story, in that, when they started it, it was just Mike and Anthony bringing together their best friends to just dance in a show. And it was only intended to be a one-time performance. And it wasn't even called Kinjaz at the time. They were called Anbu Black Ops.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in Vibe in 2010. And it was supposed to just be a one-time performance. And then, they just kind of were like, yo, if we were going to do a one-time performance, what's something that we've always dreamed of doing in a performance? And they just packaged it all into it was a crazy performance. And that also, that footage is also on YouTube, so you can look it up. But, from there, they saw that the reception of it was incredible. And, so the questions were, so when's the next one? When's the next one? And they're just like, we don't know. We were only planning to do one. And so it was another thing that it started as something that was just for fun. And then, the kind of natural energy and the momentum was like, yo, let's keep this thing going. And then in 2014, that was when they decided collectively to pour their energy into turning Kinjaz into something more than just a fun performance crew.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to turn it into a brand and business and everything else after. And that was actually right at the serendipitous time that I left Vegas, came back to LA, and that's also in 2014. And so, when we kind of linked up, and Mike and Anthony and we've been friends, since college. I've known Mike since he was in high school even. And so when we all kind of like reconvened, it was just that perfect timing of things. Or like, yo, we should like all kind of link up and do this thing together. And so we shifted our energy from just like fun performance and doing this for, whatever, just as homies, into like, yo, let's turn this into something more. And, I had also, just coming fresh out of Jabbawockeez and the whole Las Vegas journey, and just learning how to turn a dance crew into a brand and into an idea that lives outside of just what's done on the floor or in front of a camera, but like, different verticals, from like apparel and just what have you, different types of content that can be created, and mythologies and all this other stuff. And that was the thing that I feel like I learned. That was one of the biggest lessons that I learned, and most valuable things, of like how to transcend outside of just your one craft that you may be known for, into becoming an idea. And that's something that I learned. We had this one meeting with Will Smith. This is a meeting that we had back in, I don't know, say like 2009 or 10, right before the Vegas show started. And, he said something that I never forget. He said, when you can become an idea, that's when you know that you're going to impact the whole world. And he was talking about Disney. He's like, Disney started as like Mickey Mouse and cartoons. But when you look at Disney now, you don't think Mickey Mouse and cartoons. It's like, it's experiential. It's a global force, and anything that has the Disney stamp on it, you just know that there is a level of quality that just kind of comes with that. And so I've always taken that advice of like, man, how do you become an idea? And to this day, that's one of the most like impactful things that I've learned. And so we've been able to kind of transcend just dance into turning dance into something that can be way beyond just something as entertainment, something that people can feel, something that people can relate to in terms of lifestyle, even ideology and philosophy even. And I can go forever on this, but like, I think that's why, figures like Bruce Lee, Kobe Bryant, Walt Disney, Steve Jobs, these people who may have been known for a certain thing, but their philosophies can transcend the medium of their craft, their sport, whatever it is. And I think that is actually the dream that I have, to turn dance into something of that caliber.
You have, in a lot of ways. What do you think the dance industry is missing?
I think the dance industry is missing, this might sound funny, but like, I guess like systems for protection. I think, when you think about like the film industry and the music industry, there are systems that are in place, like guilds and unions and things like that, that sort of set these standards for like work related things, whether that be rates and like market value for certain things. And I still feel like dance is kind of like straggling behind and sort of at the bottom of that totem pole in terms of the progression. I know that there are things like Dancers Alliance, and there are things that are there that are making strides for those things to be better, but they're still not as like legally protected. And speaking of which, like, copyright and trademarks, like, again, music, literature, film, there's so much IP that's out there that does have legal protection, and dance is still very much behind, where, a choreographer can put out movement and someone else can rip it off, and that choreographer could also just not get credited, not have anything to protect them, and may not see a dime of anything for their creative work, So I think I'm glad that there is movement in that area, but it's still lacking. So I think the more that the awareness for that and those conversations, the more that they're had, hopefully it gets the attention of the powers that be, whoever that is, to get these systems in place to have more protection for IP of choreographers, and for there to be again more protective systems where I mean, man, dancers don't get no health care. You know what I mean? There's no like 401k or anything like that that's like available to a dancer. So yeah, again, I think it's still very almost Wild West-ish, but things are getting better. But I do see a lack in those areas.
Yeah.
I want dance. My dream of it is for dance to be looked at in a very much more of a holistic way of entertainment as well as health and philosophy and all that. I know it's a very grandiose sort of dream, but
I hear you. I know what you mean. You know what grinds my gears?
What grinds your gears?
It grinds my gears when dance is nestled under fitness as a part of fitness. When I'm like, flip it and reverse it, fitness is a version of dance, or fitness is one benefit of dance. Dance is fitness and sport. Dance is culture and entertainment. Dance is health and wellness, therapy. Dance is social, community. You're not nestled under anything. We're everything.
Yeah.
Right? And I think what tends to happen is that, ironically, because dance is everywhere, like we're dancing at birthday parties, we're dancing at weddings, we're dancing, your daughter goes to ballet, like, you're taking a class for fun. We see K-pop. Like, dance is so everywhere that I think people just don't see it because it's everywhere. Like, there's a story about two fishies that are swimming, and then one of them's like, oh, the water's great today. And the other fish is like, what's water? Because they're just in it.
Oh, yeah.
So they don't realize
what
they're swimming in.
Yeah. As you're talking about the fish analogy, I heard I don't even know if this is a joke, but it's like, do crabs think that fish are flying?
Shout out to all your people and communities.
Shout out. Yeah. Shout out to the Kinjaz. Kinja bang. Boom. Yeah, shout out to my steward community. Good Service Podcast is a podcast that I co-host along with my boy Kevin's Huh.
Kevin.
Yeah, big community that's growing, and very excited about that community. And yeah, those are the folks that come to mind.
Thank you so much, Ben.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
Yahoo!
Is this how we end it?
With Korean hearts.
Korean hearts, all for all the cameras.